found this one of the Facebook posts that Neville put up recently, and it was challenging about the communication interaction between people online and emailing each other compared to the impact of sharing energy face to face. How do you feel that is impacting on growth in line with the capacity that it actually brings as well?
An enormously important question, and brings us back to Business with Soul, because as much as I love Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, etc., and the internet, a lot of our transactions on there are fairly mundane, pointless, and I equate them really to one-night stands. You know, I've never had a one-night stand, so I don't know, but I have this fantasy that they're not particularly meaningful, and certainly by definition they're pretty disposable. You know, you start them today and they're gone tomorrow, and that's it. Whereas for me, life and Business with Soul is about a much longer-term relationship and building. You know, what is life about? Life is about people. What is the thing we can? What is the emotion we think is the most powerful and most important emotion of all? Love. So I don't think you can have love overnight. You can have lust, and you can, and so a lot of our social media is very interesting and terrific for transactional communications, but to get into deeper, meaningful, and as one person responded, Skype helps that a bit, because at least you've got eyeball contact. And as you responded, you were saying, well, this is transactional, and it's simply a part of keeping the glue together for when you meet face to face, or when you work together on a task in a business or in an organisation. So it's like they're all different. I guess it worries me just a little bit is that I've been into large IT factories where everybody's sitting there at their screen typing away, and they're thinking about having lunch with this person, so they email, you know, you come to lunch with me and you get a reply, and they're there. They only have to talk to each other, but they don't. And like, for me, that's technology gone wrong.
So how does that work with your career and your life, and being a CEO mentor and being with people face to face? How do you work with people who are interstate or overseas? How do you structure that?
Again, a great question. I actually don't work with anyone who I can never meet with face to face. So I have a number of Sydney CEOs that I work with, and I don't go to Sydney as much as I used to because of my wife's stroke, but they will come here at least once a month. That's part of, you know, before we've set this up, it's clear that they come once a month, and so we meet face to face. I used to do some work overseas with a combination of Skype, the telephone and email, but right now I've stopped doing that because for me, in the end, a relationship and mentoring also needs intimacy, it needs trust, it needs time, it needs being together.
And how do you...
I'm not saying, I mean, there's some very good coaches online, it's just, that's not me.
How do you structure or to share with other people? How is it that you structure your mentoring? Scheduling, as you're saying, people that come down from Sydney, random, when people call you up and there's a crisis going on.
I had two this morning.
So what's your preference? What tends to work, and how does it, in the world of the chaos that we live in, how does it work with you?
Over the years, I've discovered that a really good working session where we get clear out, we rebuild the relationship, because I mean, every time somebody meets, even if they met a month ago, that you've got to sort of rebuild and get back into connection again. I find that a 2-hour session works really well, because time and time again, you know, we go through a process and we reach an output and both of us feel, that was great. And we look at our watches and, you know, 2 hours.
Just
I don't
gone.
know.
Yes.
I don't know whether. So the therapy 50 minutes for me doesn't work. That was actually constructed to leave people unfinished, so that they would go away in tension, and the whole notion is that they continue to work on that for a week until they came back the next week. Mm-hmm. But I like to bring our sessions to some action, to some completion. So 2 hours works. And then we have connection on the phone. Like this morning, 2 people rang me 10 minutes on the phone. We worked through the issue. In neither case did we need a new appointment. We were able to cover that on the phone. But we could only do that properly because we had once a month 2-hour meeting. Yes. And some people that I start with find it useful to have a much longer time, a much shorter period. So we might meet for a week, and we might only meet for an hour for that time, and then gradually we settle down into 2 hours once a month.
So in the space of entrepreneurship and innovation, there are 2 distinct areas where you have the entrepreneurs who are out with their own resources and their capacity unto themselves, and then the intrapreneurs that have the support and structure of the corporates around them. How do you work differently or separately? Or I guess more so the question is, what advice or what wisdom would you part to entrepreneurs and also to the innovators within a corporate environment?
Right. To answer that, I need to finish the last question, because I guess there's 2 types of coaches or mentor. And when I was running Bristol Paints, we used to have an alliance with a man who ran Levine's in New Zealand. And he had this saying, I've got 5 jokes, and it's easy for me to get new friends and to get new jokes. And what he meant by that was that he actually had a very clear business model, and he rolled that out into about 110 stores. Mm-hmm. We had a very clear business model, and we rolled that out to 86 stores here at Bristol when I was running that. And some mentors or coaches are like that. They have 5 jokes, okay, and whether you like it or not, you'll go through this process.
Yes.
And at the end of it, right, thank you very much, and I'll get another one.
Because you don't have a set process.
No.
You adapt to the individual that you're with.
Exactly. Part of what I love what I do so much is that I don't believe ever I've worked with the same person twice in a row the same way, and I don't believe I've ever worked with 2 different people the same way. So for me, I'm always learning, adapting, finding, and it's no different from the entrepreneur as it is for the corporateur or the intrapreneur. And of course, increasingly today, those lines are being blurred because in many of the corporations I work with, we're actually setting up what I call confederations of entrepreneurs, where as people get ideas, or there's a publishing company for the moment that is, they were all geared up for the national curriculum and it's been delayed. So their choice, they've got all these great people, do they fire them? Well, an alternative is to say no, set them up in their own business with you as a client, even do it as a joint venture if you like, so that they've now got other clients and other sources of income, but they're a confederation of entrepreneurs still operating, they still come and work from your office and they're there when you need them. But now instead of you paying them 100x, you're only paying them 15x. So the lines are blurring, and many new entrepreneurs are finding, instead of, because often a single product firm can't make money because the costs of overhead and selling are too much. But many new entrepreneurs are finding that they can create their idea and develop it, and then inject it into a corporate structure that's got the offices and the salespeople, and that can be done on a licensing fee, or done on a shared revenue fee, or done as a joint venture. So, there are lots of hybrid models emerging now, which are really lovely, really lovely. I've lost your question.
Just coming into a closing, because a 15-minute interview. I guess where to now? So for the corporateurs and the entrepreneurs who are watching and engaging in this, and looking at the fact that individuals do need a board of mentors in the same way that corporations have their own board of advisors, how do you recommend that people find mentors or find you, and what's your advice from where they're at now to move to that next aha moment?
Yes, again, a good question. I'm continuing to entrepreneur and do all sorts of things, and you've said it's very important for both the corporateur and the self-sufficient entrepreneur, the startup entrepreneur or the upstart entrepreneur, to have a board of mentors. And part of what I would encourage both people to do is start with one mentor, enlarge that, because as I said, I have 3 mentors, and gradually build that into a management advisory board. And this board would then include 1 or 2 mentors. It would include maybe people with inside your team, who key people. It will include yourself, of course. And it may include, in the case of the individual entrepreneur, like a lawyer and an accountant, financial person. So you don't need to set up a legal board, but having that team meet can be very cost efficient and, very, very effective. So my experience tells me that, the day of the solo entrepreneur is really well and truly gone.
I agree.
And the road's too lonesome, and it's unnecessary. So working towards a management board, an advisory board made up of insiders and outsiders is certainly my strongest bit of advice. If you go to my website, my name's Neville Christie, www.nevillechristie.com. I post a whole lot of resources there that people, and I've got there, how do you find yourself a mentor, a process, so people are, please go there, use it to find your own mentor or talk to me. And another website is CEO Mentor, my company, CEO Mentor. So ceomentor.com is another website that has a whole lot of resources, and they're posted free. I'm not doing that, of course I hope to get extra business, but my prime motivation is to make those resources available so people can answer the questions.
And would you be able to leave us with a Nevillism for the day?
Oh gosh, okay. Yeah, now's a great day to fire your boss and become boss of your own life.
Love it. Thank you so much, Neville, for your time.
You should have given me notice on that one.